My beloved child, there are moments when your soul trembles as it watches what is most precious slip from your hands, and in that instant the world around you seems to fall silent. You feel a hollow opening within your chest, and a strange quiet seeps into the space that was once filled with hope. You ask why. Why do good things fade away, just when I thought I had secured them? But I tell you, little soul, sometimes blessings must depart from your grasp, so that your spirit may learn to recognize the true worth of the one who gives them. For if every good thing were to come and remain, you would forget their source. You would love the blessing and forget the giver. And that is the first great lesson of true love. Love that clings not to the gift, but to the hand that gave it. I see your tears. I see you trembling as one who has lost the only treasure in life. Yet you do not know that sometimes I let the pearl slip from your hand so that you may bend down and notice the ground upon which it once rested, the very ground that I myself have formed. For while you were absorbed in the beauty of the pearl, you forgot that it was my light that made it shine. Without me, no pearl could gleam, no blessing could endure, no relationship could remain. You suffer when something beautiful leaves you. But in truth, what departs is only the shell of something deeper, a layer being peeled away so that a seed may be planted. There are things I must take from your hands, not because you are unworthy, but because I long to give you what is real. As a father removes from his child's hand a stone mistaken for candy, I take from you what you think is sweet, to teach you to discern between the sweetness of life and the sweetness of illusion. I know the loss makes your heart ache, yet I also know what is being born within that pain. For the true blessing is not what you can hold, but what transforms within you when you learn to trust me, even with empty hands. You think that empty hands are a sign of failure, but in the realm of the spirit, empty hands are the condition for receiving. No one can grasp a new blessing while still clinging to the old. No one can welcome the light while clutching the fragments of shadow. When I allow something to slip away, it is not punishment. It is grace in motion. For in every loss, I am showing you what you truly need. I know you believe that the blessing you held was the answer to your prayer, the promise I had made, and which you thought you had finally touched. But look deeper, my child. Some promises are given not to be grasped immediately, but to draw you closer to me through the journey of seeking. I do not measure my love by what you gain or lose, but by whether you still trust me when there is nothing left to hold on to. For true faith is not proven in receiving, but in standing firm, even when your hands are empty. My child, there are times when the very blessing you cling to becomes the shadow that blocks your view of me. You gaze upon it, you nurture it, you fear losing it, and slowly you forget that I am the breath that keeps it alive. I see this, and within me rises the jealousy of perfect love, the love of the one who cannot share his dwelling with any idol, even if that idol bears the shape of a gift once given by his own hand. So when I take away what you love, it is not to wound you, but to free you from dependence on what is fleeting, to remind you that true love does not come from created things, but from me, the fountain of every good and perfect gift. As the potter breaks the misshapen vessel to reshape the clay into a new form, so too am I remolding your soul. You see loss, but I see the form being restored. You see brokenness, but I see my hand touching you, softening what has hardened, breathing new life into your being. Do not fear the sound of breaking, my child, for within that sound I am shaping something more perfect. And when you ask me, why did you not let me keep it? I smile and say, because I wanted to keep you for myself. For there are blessings you may lose, but you must never lose yourself in the process. And I know that if you were to hold on to that thing for too long, it would occupy the space in your heart where I long to dwell. So I withdraw it gently, yet firmly, like a healer, drawing out the blade from a wound, so that true recovery may begin. You think the wound will weaken you, but in truth it is the doorway through which new strength will rise. My child, I do not rejoice when you suffer, but I rejoice when you understand. For true understanding does not come from instruction, but from the depths of lived experience. When you lose what you love and still choose to trust me, that is when you step into the deeper realm of true communion. It is the place where words become unnecessary, where only sacred silence remains, the silence in which your soul and mine understand one another without speech. And in that silence you will hear me whisper, I am still here, and I am enough for you. My child, the true blessing is not the gift itself, but the ability to recognize me in every circumstance. When I give you, praise me. When I take away, and you still praise me, that is the faith of heaven. For in that realm there is no loss, no fear, only unity. I am training your soul to bear that divine nature, even while you still walk upon the earth, to love me, not for what I give, but for who I am. And when you look back on your days, you will see that nothing was taken without purpose. Everything that slipped through your fingers was gathered by me into the treasury of eternity. Not one of your tears has fallen unnoticed. Not one of your prayers has been ignored. Each has been woven into the robe of glory you will wear when I have completed my work in you. My beloved, let your heart rest. Do not resist my process. Do not see loss as the end, for in truth it is only a comma in the sacred hymn I am writing. You have not been abandoned. You have not been forgotten. What you thought was gone is simply being kept for you in another season where you will receive it again, whole, perfected, eternal. And when that day comes, you will cling no more, for you will know the true blessing is not what I place in your hands, but what I place in your heart, my very presence. Now I lead you deeper into a quiet law that governs all life. What you call blessing does not dwell in things, nor in outcomes, nor in anything your hands can hold. The gift itself carries no power to sustain peace. Peace flows only from nearness to me. At the source where you stand in my light, every gift finds its right place. They are but streams murmuring from the mountain spring, and the spring itself is me. When you drink from the stream and believe it to be all, you will thirst again. But when you come to the source, you will know why the waters never cease to flow and why thirst disappears forever. Every good and perfect gift is from above, coming down from the Father of lights. James 1:17. These words were not given for your memory alone, but to turn the compass of your heart from gift to giver, from possession to presence. Think of your life as a house. Each wall, each doorway, each lamp you've added are signs of blessing. But the warmth you seek does not come from bricks and beams, it comes from the fire burning at the center. If the hearth goes out, no matter how grand the house, you will feel the cold. Communion with me is that fire. It warms even an empty room. It lights even when the oil runs low. It brings every object back to its rightful place. Beautiful when present, peaceful when gone. For worth is no longer measured by what you hold, but by the one who holds you. You often confuse symbol with reality, the ring with the vow, the bread with the feast. Symbols are precious. They point to something greater. But if you cling to the symbol and forget the reality, you fall into illusion. I give you bread to feed your body, but the feast I prepare for your soul is my presence itself. I give you a ring as the sign of covenant, but the joy of that covenant lies in the living love between you and me. When you mistake the sign for the substance, fear enters. Fear of losing the bread, fear of scratching the ring, fear of darkness around the table. But when you perceive the truth, you will find rest, for the feast remains. Though the candles go out, the covenant stands. Though the ring is gone, and I remain, though every room is empty. This divine law does not coerce, but invites. I do not command you to abandon the gifts. I draw you closer to my heart, that you may know the gifts flow from it. The purpose of every gift is not to captivate you, but to make you aware of the one who thought of you long before you asked. When you understand this, your gratitude matures. You no longer thank me merely because it worked out, but because I am. You no longer praise me only when skies are clear, then fall silent when storms arise. Your song becomes the rhythm of your breath because you have touched the singer, not just the melody. My child, look closely and see where anxiety hides each time you cling to a gift. It hides in the thought that if I lose this, I will no longer be myself. But I tell you the truth, you are not the sum of what you own, nor the total of what you have achieved, nor the name attached to victory or failure. You are the bearer of my image. Therefore, when you anchor your identity in things, you bind yourself to the orbit of change. When you anchor it in me, you are joined to the immovable rock. A heart grafted into me cannot be pulled by seasons, by praise or criticism, by openings or closings, by arrivals or departures. It knows peace like a river, for it is connected to the sea. You ask, how can I live by this law in a finite world? I answer by shifting the axis of worship. Worship is not only singing, worship is turning. When you turn away from the gift toward the giver, every small act becomes service, daily work, caring for family, kind words, timely silence. You prepare a meal as though setting a table for me. You listen to others as though hearing an echo of me within them. You work faithfully, as though offering each motion of your hands before my throne. Then blessing is no longer scattered like a few sparks of light, but becomes the atmosphere surrounding your life, for where I dwell, even the air becomes holy. I know sometimes you fear that if you do not cling to results, you will grow idle. But on the contrary, when you set me as your goal, every effort is elevated. You no longer work to be seen, but because you have already been seen. You no longer strive for approval, but because you have already been called by name. That freedom releases creativity, perseverance, and humility, the three lifelines of a fruitful soul. You do better because you are not proving anything. You are honoring me. You endure longer because you follow the gentle whisper instead of the noise. You bow lower because you know that every stream of milk and honey flowing through your hands comes from one source alone. My child, stay awake to the subtlety of idolatry. An idol does not always wear the face of wood or stone. It can wear the face of a sacred dream, an honorable calling, or a beautiful relationship. Anything that rules your emotions, determines your peace, or binds your decisions, that thing has climbed the throne. I am not selfish when I say the throne belongs to me. I am merciful, for only I can hold your heart without breaking it. Every idol sooner or later demands the sacrifice of your peace to sustain itself. But I am the one who sacrificed myself so you might live. Eternal life is to know the Father, the only true God, and Jesus Christ, whom He has sent. John 1:7-3. This is the true definition of blessing: to know, to commune, to abide. When you enter communion, you learn another language, the language of presence. In this language, prayer is not merely a string of words, but an open door. You open the door for me, to enter your thoughts, your habits, your fears, your plans. Even when nothing new seems to happen in the day, the simple being with becomes a miracle. And through that miracle, a cup of water turns tender, a smile becomes healing oil, and a repeated task becomes a hidden liturgy. You stop seeking the high moments to call them blessings. You recognize that blessing hides like leaven in the dough, quiet, steady, transforming the whole. My child, do not fear that this way will make you someone who needs nothing. On the contrary, it teaches you to need rightly. You will still dream, but your dreams will be cleansed. You will still love, but your love will be free from possession. You will still work, but your labor will no longer strain to prove worth. You will receive, yet not depend. You will give, yet not run dry. For when you commune with me, you enter the divine circulation, receiving from the source, in order to give as a source yourself, never empty, never afraid of lack, never panicked when your hands are momentarily bare. I also want you to understand communion is not a program you perform to earn favor. It is the rhythm of life you abide in. You cannot buy being with. You are invited. And the invitation is always open in the morning when you still stir from sleep at noon, in your haste at dusk, in your weariness at night when the lights go out. Each breath is a knock at the door. You do not have to enter the temple. You have become the temple. Therefore, blessing no longer comes and goes like a guest. It dwells as a host, because the master of the house is there. You once said, "But I need an answer, an opening, a door." I say to you, first remain in me. When being with becomes your priority, you will witness a mystery. Many doors open without your knocking. Many questions dissolve in the light without debate. Many knots loosen under my hand without your force. Seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. That is not a formula of exchange, but a description of alignment. When the vertical axis is set upright, the horizontal ones fall into place. Therefore, my child, learn a sacred habit. Whenever your hands grasp something beautiful, immediately lift your eyes back to the source and whisper, "Thank you, for you yourself are my inheritance." And whenever something leaves your hands, lift your eyes again and say, "Thank you, for you yourself remain my portion." Repeat it again and again. That small prayer will carve a channel through the hardest stone, letting living water flow through every dry season. And one day you will realize that you have shifted your resting place, no longer resting upon gifts, but upon the heart itself. I conclude with this image for you. You are a vessel placed beneath a waterfall. When you remain directly under the flow, you are filled naturally. But when you run about trying to gather drops from stagnant puddles, you grow weary, thirsty, and fearful of lack. Return to the stream. Do not blame the vessel, do not question its size, do not compare it with another. Be concerned with one thing only, whether the vessel is positioned rightly beneath the source. For there every question of full or empty, gain or loss, coming or going, is pierced through by light. There you will understand why blessing is not found in what is given, but in communion itself, in the place where you and I abide together, and that abiding is enough for today, enough for tomorrow, and enough for eternity. My beloved child, there are seasons when light seems to retreat, when the things your eyes once saw, joy, opportunity, the one you loved, or the path you believed was right, suddenly vanish like morning mist before the Sunday. In that moment you find yourself exposed, as if every support had been pulled away at once. Yet it is precisely where nothing is left to cling to that faith is born. For as long as your eyes can see, you believe by evidence. Only when darkness descends does the soul learn to trust in the invisible. Just as a seed can only sprout when buried deep in the earth, faith can only mature when wrapped in the shadow of the unknown. I know you have cried out in desperation. Why, Lord, did you let me lose that which I prayed for, trusted in, and cherished as a gift from you? My child, I allowed it, not because I wished to take, but because I desired to birth something deeper within you. A blessing may sustain you for a season, but faith will carry you through every season. I do not merely want you to live by blessings. I want you to live by trust in the giver. For blessings can change, but I do not. And you will only truly know that I do not change when everything else around you does. There are those who ask for light, not realizing that true light is seen most clearly in the dark. When you walk through the valley, you think I have left you. Yet in that very moment I am nearer than ever, for I know your eyes are being opened in a new way. You once saw through the vision of the flesh. Now you are learning to see through the vision of the Spirit. You once perceived surfaces. Now you begin to perceive depth. You once believed because you could feel. Now you are learning to believe, even when feeling departs. And there is where true faith is born, the place where nothing upholds you except my promise, where the soul chooses to stand, not because it sees, but because it knows I am still there. My child, I have taught you that every seed must endure a season of burial. You cannot demand new life and yet avoid the darkness of the soil. You cannot seek glory and refuse the hidden process. Loss is not the enemy, it is the teacher. It teaches you silence, patience, and the truth that faith does not rest in your hands but in your heart. When everything you trusted in shatters, and yet you whisper, "I still believe," that is when heaven trembles. For such faith no longer rests upon reason, but upon love. Do you remember Abraham, my child? He was promised descendants, yet was called to Mount Moriah, to offer up the very promise itself. His eyes saw loss, but his heart still believed. And as the blade was about to fall, the angel's hand stopped him, for faith had been proven. When you are willing to lay down what you treasure most upon the altar, I will show you that you never truly lost it. It is only returned to you in a new form, sanctified and secured in my hands. In my realm, loss is never an ending. It is the doorway to a beginning deeper, truer, eternal. Faith is not blindness. It is seeing with different eyes, the eyes of the heart. When the natural eye sees only walls, the spiritual eye sees the hidden path behind them. When the ear of the flesh hears silence, the ear of the spirit hears the gentle whisper, "Do not fear, I am here." When your hands feel empty, my hand is still covering yours. It is in absence that you learn to recognize presence. It is in stillness that you learn to listen deeply. It is in darkness that you learn to discern light, not through sight, but through faith. I know there are nights when you sit alone in the stillness of your room and whisper, "Is my faith strong enough to go on?" I tell you, this faith is not measured by strength, but by persistence. As long as you hold on to me, even by the thinnest thread of prayer, I will take that fragile thread and weave it into a cord of salvation. You do not need a perfect faith, only a sincere one. For true faith is not always radiant. Sometimes it is nothing more than a quiet whisper in the dark, "I still believe." My child, do not fear the darkness when it comes, for it is not my absence, but the veil I use to shield your eyes from what is not yet ready to be seen. I am working in silence like a farmer, tending the seed beneath the soil. No one sees him, but the seed feels the warmth of his hands. So it is with your faith. It grows quietly deep within, until one day you realize you no longer fear the night, for the night has become the place where you meet me. Micah 7:8 says, "When I sit in darkness, the Lord will be my light." My beloved, that is not a theory, but a truth I long to etch upon your heart. Faith does not bloom in the light, it blossoms in the night. When you lose something, you think you are falling apart, but in truth the seed is breaking open to sprout. When you fall, you think you are shattered, but I am breaking the old shell so new life can emerge. No season of loss is meaningless. Every tear that falls from your eyes waters a tender shoot waiting to rise. One day, when you walk out of this season of darkness and look back, you will see my footprints along the path. You will smile, not because everything was restored, but because you were transformed. You will understand that the greatest gift I gave you was not a blessing but myself, the one who never changes, who remains with you through every change. And you will know that what you called loss was only the prelude to triumph. So, my child, let the darkness complete its purpose. Let it teach you to see with your heart, to trust through the silence, to love with strength that comes from above. Then the light will come not from without, but from within you. And when it does, you will no longer tremble before the things that fade for you. Will have learned to place your trust not in what is seen, but in the one who is unseen yet ever present. And that, my child, is true freedom. My beloved one, I see you sitting amidst your confusion, your eyes wet with tears over a broken thread in the tapestry of your life. You look down and see only chaos, tangled threads, uneven seams, colors that seem to clash. You weep, fearing the work is ruined, believing it can never be repaired. But I, the author and weaver of your life, see more than the thread, I see the whole cloth. I see the complete design that your limited eyes cannot yet perceive. And as you cry over the tangled mess, I sit quietly, gently guiding the needle, weaving even your pain into a beauty your heart cannot yet imagine. You see only the underside of the tapestry where the threads cross and knot in seeming disorder. But on the other side where I sit is the front, the pattern I am patiently crafting with the very strands of your days. You see the knots, I see anchors that hold the design in place. You see the tears, I see the places where light can shine through. You see dark colors mixed with bright, I see the depth that gives the picture its soul. Everything I do has order, though your eyes may not yet see it. For I do not work on the surface alone, I work in the deep layers where your spirit must learn to trust. My child, you live inside a story where you see only chapter by chapter, but I have read the whole book. You weep upon today's page, not knowing that tomorrow's chapter will draw its light from those very tears. No line is wasted, no sentence without purpose. Every trial, every waiting, every tear, all are written by my hand in invisible ink, and at the appointed time the light will reveal their meaning. Then you will understand why I let the threads that seemed misplaced pass through my hands. I am the author of your destiny, and no line in the book of your life is written in haste. You think the recent event was a mistake, a miswritten page, but I tell you, in divine artistry, no stroke is wasted. Every mark, every pause, every blank space carries intention. Some places I leave empty, not because I have forgotten, but because I am saving room for revelation. Some stories I pause midway, not because I abandon them, but because the character you must first grow to understand the next chapter. Do not be afraid. When your story does not yet appear beautiful, my child, every masterpiece has its sketching phase. Every painting begins with rough strokes and heavy shades. I am not finished with you yet. Do not judge the work while my hands are still shaping it. When you see patches of darkness, do not assume I have erred. I am merely laying the background so that the light may stand out more brilliantly. When you find me silent, do not think I have withdrawn. I am pausing so that the previous layer may dry, allowing the next one to hold firm. When you feel useless, do not think I have grown weary of you. I am simply working in the part that you cannot yet see, the part of roots of preparation of rebirth. My child, you must learn to look upon your life through the eyes of the divine artist. Do not rush to conclusions when only a corner of the canvas has been completed. Believe that even the lines that confuse you now will make sense when joined with what I am preparing. Perfection is not the result of avoiding mistakes, but of transforming them into splendor. And I am the master who turns wounds into patterns of beauty. You cannot see it now, but you will, for in every tear and tear I am weaving a thread of gold. Just as Joseph was sold into slavery and imprisoned in darkness, I used those very years of being forgotten to weave the robe of favor and power. Without those years, the story would lack the depth of mercy. So it is with you. You are within the loom, and I am turning the frame by my hand. The creaking sound you hear, the pressure, the friction, is not the sound of destruction, but of creation. You feel small amid the vastness of the work, but remember, not a single thread is wasted. Even the smallest strand contributes to the perfect tapestry. I overlook no detail. The days you think are meaningless, they are the foundation threads that hold the design in place. The tears you thought were wasted, they are the soft fibers with which I weave the folds of compassion. Not one thread is lost, not one sorrow discarded. I do not waste your pain. My child, my art is not found in avoiding adversity, but in turning adversity into melody. I do not need favorable conditions to perform miracles. I need only a heart willing to be woven. If you give me the tangled threads of your life, the strands of disappointment, fear, and doubt, I will transform them into ribbons of wisdom, faith, and hope. But you must let me weave. Do not snatch the frame from my hands. Do not attempt to mend it with your own thread. What you weave by yourself often breaks midway because you see only the present part, but I see from beginning to end. Imagine, my child, when the tapestry is complete, you will stand before it in awe. You will see that the threads you once thought unnecessary are the very borders that frame the picture. You will see that the dark patches were the background upon which the light shone brighter. You will see that the knots were what held the fabric together. Then you will cry out, Lord, you are truly wise. You have done marvelous things beyond my understanding. And I will smile, for I will know that every tear you shed in doubt has turned into crystals adorning the robe of glory you now wear. My beloved child, there is one thing I long for you to grasp with your whole heart, something that surpasses all reasoning. I wrote your restoration before the first wound appeared. Before you shed a tear, I had already prepared the cloth to wipe it. Before you lost anything, I had already paved the path of recovery. Before you stumbled, I had already placed my hand beneath your feet. No loss surprises me, and no event unfolds beyond my sight. For I do not write your story along the line of time as you understand it. I write it within eternity, where the beginning and the end breathe in the same rhythm. When I wrote your destiny, I did not inscribe only joy and victory. I also wrote the wounds, the turns, the tears, not to torment you, but that they might become part of your perfection. Every crack that frightens you I have turned into a channel through which light passes. Every moment you think you've lost your way, you are stepping into the very ground where I will reveal myself. For my plan is never about avoiding pain, but about transforming pain itself into the substance of restoration. You thought what happened was failure, but I tell you it was arrangement. You believed you had fallen off the path, but I say you were only being shifted to another lane. Nothing breaks beyond my ability to rebuild. I have written restoration into the design itself, just as a wise architect includes an emergency exit in a building long before anyone enters it. When the fire of trial comes, that exit is not created in panic. It was there all along. And so it is with you. When loss comes, you do not need to invent a solution. You need only to trust the plan already written. Sometimes you ask, Lord, if you knew beforehand, why didn't you stop it? I answer, because I not only know how to prevent, I know how to use. To prevent would keep you safe, but to use would make you deep. To prevent would keep you intact, but to use would make you transformed. I chose the latter because I love you too much to let you remain still. I love you enough to let the wind break dead branches so that new ones may grow. I love you enough to allow you to touch pain that you might learn compassion. My child, I have written healing into every wound. There is no fracture that does not hold within itself the seed of restoration. When I created the world, I planted this law within it. Where there is death, life will sprout. Where there is night, dawn will arise. Even in the cosmos, every dying star becomes new light. So it is with you. I do not let pain bury you. I let it become the fertile soil of rebirth. I know there are moments when you think you've lost what was most precious, that the door has closed forever. But remember, my child, I am not only the God of beginnings, but also the God of continuation. When one door closes, I do not stand afar watching. I am opening another in a direction you never imagined. My restoration is not a duplication of the old, but the creation of something new. You will not merely receive what was lost, you will receive a refined, stronger, more radiant version born from the ashes. Remember what I once spoke through the prophet Joel. I will restore to you the years that the locusts have eaten. Joel 2:5. I am not speaking only of material things, but of time, youth, faith, and the opportunities you thought were gone. You think the years spent in tears were wasted, but I tell you I am gathering them, pressing them into oil, and that very oil will burn brightly in the lamp of your life. No drop is wasted, no cry is forgotten. You may forget, but I never do. I keep it all, and in my appointed time I will return it to you multiplied. My child, when you stand amid the ruins and ask, "What must I do?" now I say, you need not do anything, just remain in me. For restoration does not begin with action, but with communion. When you are in me, every fragment naturally finds its place. When you are still, I work. When you trust, I create. When you release your trembling hands, my strong hands reconnect what was broken. Do not think restoration is your work, it is mine. Your work is to believe. My work is to perform. Beloved, one restoration is not merely returning what was lost, it is restoring you. For in that journey I am renewing your heart, transforming how you see, how you love, how you live. You will no longer be one who was wounded, you will become a witness of healing. You will no longer say, "I have lost, but I have been found." And when you tell your story, other souls will find hope. That is why I allowed loss to make it a testimony, not an ending. I have seen from beginning to end, and in every ending you fear I have already planted a beginning. There are no dead ends in my kingdom. There is no end without a begin again. Everything in my plan beats with the rhythm of life, sometimes dimming only to shine again, sometimes silent only to sing once more. You see only winter, but I see spring beyond it. You hear only silence, but I hear the melody forming. You see the sky closing, but I see the dawn breaking through the night. Therefore, my child, be at peace. I do not need you to understand everything, only to trust that I know. When you cannot see the way I still do, when you do not know what comes next, I am still leading. You need not fear the breaking, for I am the restorer. Even the parts of your life you thought were buried in shame or regret, I can touch them and make them bloom. I have prepared everything, even the things you have not dared to pray for. And on the appointed day, when you look back, you will understand restoration does not come after loss, it was written before it. Loss is merely the path that leads you into what I had already prepared. Like an artist who adds a darker shade to give depth to the canvas, I allow the night to come so that the light of restoration may shine brighter. You will smile and say, "You knew, you prepared, and you never left me." My beloved child, believe this. There is nothing that happens which I cannot turn into beauty. There is no tear I cannot transform into a pearl. There is no failure I cannot turn into a lesson. I am the one who makes all things work together for the good of those who love me. And that includes you right now, in the midst of what you do not yet understand. My beloved, you often think that trials are signs of failure, interruptions in the melody of peace you have long desired. You pray that I remove every hardship as if they taint the river of your life. But I tell you this, those very trials are the low notes needed in the symphony I am composing. No chord resounds by accident. No variation falls out of rhythm. Every sigh, every tear, every storm has its place in the song I am writing for your life. If you only listen to each part in isolation, you will find them disjointed and uncertain. But if you step back and behold the whole, you will hear the wondrous harmony that only one who knows the music of heaven can create. Like a conductor before an orchestra of many instruments, the flutist, the violinist, the drummer, I direct all rhythms to form one sacred hymn. The drumbeat of sorrow, the flute of joy, the taut string of faith, all intertwined, not erasing one another, but exalting each other. And even when you now hear only the somber tones of a minor key, remember that the symphony has not yet ended. My child, when I composed your life, I did not choose a single colored tune. I chose a harmony of contrasts that each high note might teach you humility, and each low note might teach you endurance. Joy teaches you to sing. Sorrow teaches you to listen. Success teaches you gratitude. Failure teaches you prayer. Every experience is a beat I strike to keep your soul in the rhythm of grace. And if you still your heart, you will hear that rhythm even in the storm. My beloved, The music of heaven is not born of noise, but of alignment. At times, I let silence linger, for silence itself is part of the song. Music is not merely sound, it is also the pause at the right moment. Likewise, there are seasons you mistake for interruption, when in truth they are rests I use to prepare for the coming crescendo. If a melody were only filled with rushing notes, it would lose its soul. If your life were filled only with ease, it would lose its depth. The rest gives the music its spirit, and the trial gives the soul its weight. I know that when the storm rises, you hear only the harsh clash of impact, but I hear the rhythm beneath it. I hear the pulse of growth of faith, being refined of humility blossoming. Like a seasoned composer, I know how to turn the sound of breaking into a new tempo. I use your failures to teach you to sing in a new key, the key of trust. For in my kingdom, no sound is meaningless. There are only tones not yet understood. Think of Job. My child, he lost everything: wealth, children, honor, health. If you only read the first chapter, you would think his life was a dirge. But I had written a different ending. In the silence of his ruin, I composed the song of restoration, and the final sound was not weeping but worship. My ears had heard of you, but now my eyes have seen you. That is the melody I desire to bring forth from every trial, not the song of sorrow, but of revelation. My child, I do not belittle your pain. I lift it and turn it into art. Pain, when offered to me, becomes music. Sorrow, when surrendered, becomes song. When you weep, I hear the rhythm. When you pray, I hear the harmony. When you forgive, I hear the soaring note of love rising above bitterness. Each time you choose faith over resentment, love over fear, you add a bright note to the melody, and I, the patient conductor, smile as I see you playing in tune with the cadence of heaven. Sometimes you think, my life is full of dissonant sounds. I've done it wrong, I've sung off key, I've broken the rhythm. But listen to me, my child, I am the one who can turn wrong into right, discord into harmony. With me there is no wrong note, only notes being rearranged. I can take the fragments and place them back into their rightful place in the orchestra of grace. When you return, I do not erase your past. I weave it into the prelude of a new movement. When you stumble, I do not rewrite the music. I simply change the tempo so it leads you to a deeper refrain. My child, there are times I let you hear the music of others, so you may learn that I am composing a symphony in them too. Do not envy when their melody reaches higher notes. Remember that your song carries the chosen depths of lower tones. Every soul has its own range within my orchestra. If all sang in one key, heaven would lack depth. Difference is not division, it is harmony. Therefore, when you hear others sing in light, sing your part in your own darkness, and trust that I am listening to both at once. I do not seek perfection in your melody, I seek truth. The truest notes are those sung from an unguarded heart, even if hoarse, offbeat, or broken. Heaven does not count the notes, it measures sincerity. When you sing with faith, even through sobs, the angels bow to listen. For that is the sound I love most, the sound of a soul still singing in the midst of the storm. My beloved child, one day when the symphony is complete, you will hear your life again in the light of eternity. You will see that no trial was out of tune, no sorrow wasted. You will understand why I led you through the low notes so you could savor the high ones. You will see that every tear was a vibration of the string that gave your song its depth. And when the final chord resounds the chorus of everlasting life, you will know that all has blended into perfect harmony. My beloved one, I know there were times you stood before closed doors, heart heavy, hand trembling as you kept knocking with no reply. You prayed, waited, and believed it was the path I had chosen for you. When the door did not open, you thought I was silent, that I refused, that something within you was not enough. But hear me, every closed door is not rejection, it is protection. Whenever I do not permit you to enter a place, It is not because you are unworthy, but because that place is not yet ready for you, or you are not yet ready for it. I do not close doors to wound you. I close them to save you. There are thresholds that gleam with promise, yet behind them lies an unseen abyss. There are journeys you long for, but if you take them before the appointed time, they will crush you rather than grow you. I see beyond your sight. I hear what you cannot. I know the schemes you have not imagined. When I say no, it is not indifference, it is. My arms stretched across the chasm you do not perceive. You often think blessing must come in the form of an open door, but my child, some blessings can only be received through the doors that stay shut. For it is when the door closes that you learn to turn inward and hear my voice more clearly. When every exit seems blocked, you discover that I am not confined by walls, and that my presence itself is the way you seek. A closed door is not an ending. It is an invitation to pause, to breathe deeply, and to let me lead you by another path, the one only I know. There are times I close doors to keep you from what seems good but is not best. You see the glitter and assume it is promise, but I who see the heart know what might draw you away from me. If I granted every door you desired, you would lose yourself among false lights. Sometimes I let you hear no so you may learn to recognize the voice of the true yes. Sometimes I hold you back not to confine you, but to preserve you until I finish the work I began within you. I remember when you prayed for something you were certain I would grant. You offered me your full faith, your tears, your hope. When it did not happen, you fell silent, thinking I had stopped listening. But my child, I never stopped. I was simply answering in another language. My language is not always open, sometimes it is wait. And in that waiting, I am working behind the curtain, arranging everything, so that when you finally step forward, you will receive not only what you ask for, but also me walking beside you. You saw a closed door as a failure. I saw it as an opportunity for you to learn the difference between desire and will. When you love something more than you love me, it becomes an idol. And because I love you, I cannot let you be bound by the chains of what only seems good. At times I let you knock for a long while, not to torment you, but so that you might realize that I am the door. As Jesus said, I am the door. Whoever enters through me will be saved. John 1:09. That verse speaks not only of the salvation of the soul, but also of the principle behind every journey. Not every door is meant to be entered. Only those that lead to me are the true doors. My child, if you see your life as a long corridor lined with doors on either side, you will notice my hand always going before you, testing the locks, checking the hinges, opening only when the time is ripe. I never act on impulse. Every no from me carries within it a growing yes. And if you pause without pounding in frustration, without anger, you will hear me whisper, you are not being rejected, you are being held back for your protection. I know waiting makes your heart weary. You see others walk through open doors and flourish while you still stand before one that remains silent. You compare, you doubt. You ask, Lord, why them and not me? But you do not see that while they are walking, I am laying a foundation beneath your feet. Some doors open quickly but collapse just as fast. Yet the doors I open, though slower, lead to places that endure. I do not build on sand, I build on rock. And if you allow me to build, you will stand firm amid winds that others cannot withstand. My child, learn to give thanks even for the doors that remain closed. One day you will look back and thank me for every no that saved you from 1,000 wrong turns. You will remember and smile, realizing that some unanswered prayers were your greatest blessings. For had I answered according to your wish, you might have lost what you truly needed. And what you need most is always me. When I am your destination, whether the door opens or not, you are never lost. Beloved one, I do not want you to fear the doors that close, nor to despair when you hear the word not yet. Trust that every door lies within my hands. When I open, no one can shut. When I shut, no one can open. But remember this, though earthly doors may close, the doors of heaven never do. My arms remain open wide, and as you walk in trust, you are moving through invisible doors that only faith can see. The day will come when you understand that every no was a verse in the love song between you and me. It taught you trust, patience, and the art of unconditional love. You will see that a closed door is not a wall, but a veil hiding glory. And when I lift that veil, you will know everything I did was born of love. Nothing in. My plan is random. No no is without an eternal yes within it. So my child, do not fear the closed door. Be at peace, for when one way shuts, it is a sign that I am shielding you from what is not yours. Do not weep before it forever. Turn around and you will find me standing there smiling, pointing toward another path where the light awaits. And then you will understand. Every door that closed was not rejection. It was the proof that you are loved too deeply for me to let you walk astray. My beloved one, you live in a world measured by hours, days, and years. Everything around you runs by schedules, by clocks, by countdowns. You have become so accustomed to that rhythm that you think I measure time the same way. But hear me, human time is a clock. My timing is the heartbeat of eternity. You live in the flow. I am the source of the flow. You wait for a moment. I hold the seasons. Therefore, what you call delay is often perfect precision in my rhythm. I know there were times you grew restless. You looked around and saw others move forward, their dreams fulfilled, while you stood still. You thought you had been left behind, forgotten among billions of souls. But my child, I never forget. I have only been preparing my time, the moment when everything will align so perfectly that you will understand why I made you wait. Your time is the surface, mine is the depth. You count by minutes. I measure by the fulfillment of purpose. You ask, Lord, what is the difference between time and timing? Listen, my child, time is what you can spend, but timing is what I arrange. You may live within time and yet never touch my appointed moment if you keep rushing to follow your own will. But if you know how to wait, you will step right into the place where heaven and earth meet, where my intention aligns perfectly with your readiness. Their miracles need not be forced. They happen naturally, like flowers blooming in their season, like light spilling over the horizon at dawn. My child, you often want me to act the moment you call. You cry, Lord, I need it now. But I see a wider picture. I do not only see the present, I see the consequences, the ripple of every event, the other souls being positioned to walk alongside you. If I were to give you everything you wanted instantly, you might gain what you desire but lose what you need. Sometimes my delay is my mercy. For if I were to place a good thing in your hands too soon, it would become a burden instead of a blessing. There is one word I want to teach you today, Kairos, the appointed time of God. In the language of heaven, Kairos is not measured by minutes, but by maturity. It does not ask when, it asks, is it ready? When earth and heaven speak in unison, when seed and rain meet, when your heart and my will beat, as one, that is when Kairos arrives. And when Kairos comes, no force can stop it, no door can close it, no enemy can delay it. For I am the one who holds both time and timing, and when I declare, the hour has come, the universe itself moves to fulfill it. You often want to pluck the fruit the moment you see the flower, but I know the fruit still needs more sun, more wind, more season. If you pick it too soon, it will be sour, too late, and it will spoil. That is why I care not only that you receive, but when you receive. The right time turns a blessing into a gift. The wrong time turns a gift into a burden. I wait not because I hesitate, but because I want the gift to reach your hands in its most perfect form, not just so you may receive it, but so you may keep it. Do you remember Job, my child? He did not know that in the midst of his suffering, a conversation was taking place between heaven and earth. There are things I permit not because I am silent, but because I am preparing the hour of triumph. When Job sat in ashes, he thought time had ended. But my kairos was still approaching, and when it came, every loss was repaid double. So it will be with you, my child. If you trust me through the waiting, you will see kairos unfold like dawn after a long night. I know that waiting is the hardest thing. It demands more faith than action. For when you act, you still feel in control, but when you wait, you must let me act. And that frightens you because you fear losing control. Yet, my child, there is a kind of strength born only in stillness. There is a kind of faith forged only in unanswered silence. And there is a kind of grace received only when you rest beneath my hand. That silence is not empty. It is the heartbeat of kairos drawing near. Learn to live, my child, in the in-between, between what you have asked and what is given, between the promise and its fulfillment. Do not see the in-between as wasted space, for it is my workshop. There I soften your heart, ripen your faith, and teach you to discern the noise of the world from the gentle whisper of my voice. When you no longer fear time, you will enter timing. When you cease to rush me, you will realize I have always been ahead of you. There will come a day when you look back and smile, saying, "So that's what you were doing." You will see that what seemed like delay was the very fabric of the miracle. For had I come sooner, you would not have been ready. Had I come later, you would have lost hope. But I came right on time, neither early nor late, for I am the one who makes all things beautiful in its time. Ecclesiastes 3:1-1. That is my law, the law that never misses its beat. So, my child, stop comparing your timeline to another's. Every soul carries its own clock in my hands. Some move swiftly because they carry the wind. Others move slowly because they carry fire. Do not envy the wind, for fire needs time to sink deep. And do not despise the slow, for slowness is how I let roots grow strong. Trees that grow fast break easily, but trees that grow deep stand through the storm. I am planting you as a great tree, not as grass of the field. So be patient with the process. My child, when you learn the difference between time and timing, you will live in peace. You will no longer be anxious when the door has not yet opened, for you will know it is simply not the appointed moment. You will not fear when your dream seems delayed, for you will know I have not forgotten. You will not panic when silence lingers, for you will know I am working quietly within it. True peace comes when you stop asking, "When will it happen?" and start asking, "What am I meant to learn in this moment?" When you ask that way, you have stepped into kairos, the sacred timing of heaven. My child, let your heart align with my rhythm. When you move according to my timing, you will never be late, nor will you ever be early. You will arrive at the right place, meet the right people, receive the right things, and be in the right season. And when you realize this, you will lift your head, smile in the light, and say, "You were never late, Lord. You came right on time, for you are time itself." My beloved child, I know that waiting is one of the hardest lessons for the human soul. The world teaches you to act, to rush, to seize every opportunity before it slips away. But my kingdom moves to a different rhythm, the rhythm of patience, of maturity, of unseen roots, growing quietly in stillness. When I ask you to pause, it is not a delay, but a part of preparation. When you learn to stand still in the waiting season, I am strengthening you to bear the weight of the blessing that is coming. There are blessings that seem light, but carry the weight of glory. If I were to give them to you while your shoulders are still weak, they would crush you. If I were to grant you position, influence, or great gifts before your heart is deep enough, you would be swept away like a fragile flower in the wind. That is why I not only prepare blessings for you, I prepare you for the blessing. Like a blacksmith heating the iron before shaping it into a sword, I am refining your soul in the fire of waiting, so that when the moment comes, you will carry the weight of eternity without breaking. My child, you think you are standing still, but you are actually being anchored deep. When you stand without running, the roots of faith are silently pushing downward. No one sees it, no one applauds, no one praises, but I see. I hear the sound of roots piercing the soil, the earth breaking open as your soul clings more firmly to me. A tree cannot rise high unless its roots are willing to be buried in darkness. Likewise, a blessing cannot last if you have not learned to stand firm in the season where I seem silent. I know you have asked, Lord, why must I wait so long? Why has the promise not yet come to pass? But my child, you do not realize that the length of waiting measures the greatness of what you will receive. Small things come quickly, but great things require time to take form. A flash of lightning appears in an instant, but a star takes millions of years to shine. True blessings are not meant to glow for a moment, they are meant to illuminate forever. That is why I do not rush. I am working deeper than you can see in your heart, in your circumstances, and in those around you. When all things align, when the painting is complete, you will understand that every second of waiting was worth it. Some cannot bear silence, so they run off to find their own way. They pluck fruit before its season, and when it is unripe, the bitterness disappoints them. But I tell you, do not be like them. Do not force open doors I have not unlocked, for if you must use your own strength to open them, you will need your own strength to keep them open. Yet if you let me open them, I, myself, will hold them for you. The doors I open no one can shut, but the doors you open by yourself no one can keep. Therefore let me teach you to stand still, not in idleness but in trust. My child, the waiting season is where I shape your heart in silence. It is like the moment when the potter lets the clay rest before forming it. If molded too soon, it will warp. If too late, it will harden. I know the perfect moment to touch you. In the times you feel forgotten, I am working within. I am teaching you what blessings cannot teach: endurance, faith, and unconditional love. True faith is not believing after seeing the result. It is believing while standing in the silence of the unknown. Do you know, my child, that it is in the not yet that faith is born? When you say, I cannot see, but I still believe, you are working. All of heaven bursts into song. When you kneel in tears and whisper, I still believe, you are good, the heavens resound in praise. For that kind of faith does not rest on evidence but on love. It is the kind of faith that will carry you through every storm. My child, I have placed within you dreams, promises, and holy desires, and I have not forgotten a single one. Yet every promise has its season. Some I have sown early in your heart, not for you to see them fulfilled immediately, but for you to be refined in the journey of holding on to them. The worth of a promise is not in how fast it comes to pass, but in how deeply you are transformed to become worthy of it. When you love me more than the outcome, when you seek me more than what I can give, when you say, you are enough for me, that is the sign that you are ready. And when you are ready, nothing can stop the blessing from coming. I know that waiting has wearied your heart. There are nights when you wish to give up, and mornings when you rise without hope. But do not fear, my child. I am still here. I am not merely watching, I am working. I am weaving threads unseen, connecting what appears fragmented, preparing you and the world around you for the appointed moment. Everything is moving, though quietly. And when the time comes, the blessing will pour down like a sudden rain, unexpected yet never accidental. It will arrive precisely when you are strong enough to stand and gentle enough to bow in gratitude. Remember this, my child, the weight of a blessing always matches the endurance of a soul. If you long to receive something great, you must also be ready to be refined in great ways. I do not refine to punish, but to shape. Just as gold shines only after passing through fire, you too will radiate only after enduring trial. And when you stand firm in the waiting, you prove that your faith is not anchored in outcomes but in communion with me, and that my child is the true treasure. One day, when you step out of this season of waiting, you will look back and see that silence was never empty, It was my deepest language. You will understand that every slow and heavy day was not in vain. They were stones I used to build the foundation for what is eternal. And you will know that if I allowed you to wait, it was because I deemed you strong enough to be refined, precious enough to be prepared, and worthy enough to carry something of weight. So stand still, my child, not in fear, but in trust. Be silent, not in despair, but in hope. Know this: when you wait in me, you are not standing in a void, but in the palm of the Eternal One. And when this season passes, you will not only receive the blessing, you will become the blessing. My beloved one, from the beginning of creation, I placed within all things a sacred law, the law of fire. Fire was not made merely to destroy, but to purify, to illuminate, and to reveal what is hidden. Humanity looks upon fire and trembles, for it can burn. But I tell you that same fire is also the light of my presence, the instrument of rebirth. When I allow fire to pass through your life, it is not to consume you, but to unveil what cannot be seen in calmness. You see, in the spiritual realm, everything is measured not by form, but by essence. Whatever is false, the fire will consume. Whatever is of me, the fire will make radiant. Therefore, do not fear the fire, my child, understand it. Fire is my gaze. It pierces through every shell, every disguise, every deceit. It separates gold from sand, truth from illusion, life from death. And only when you pass through the fire will you know what within you belongs to eternity and what belongs only to the temporary. My child, there are things that can only be revealed in fire. When all around you seems to burn away, you will discover what cannot be taken. You will see true faith, not the kind born under sunshine, but the faith that still sings amid ashes. You will see true love, not love that thrives in ease, but love that stands unshaken amid the flames, for only in fire, my child, is true, worth revealed. I do not use fire to display my power, but to teach you the essence of your being. Like the goldsmith who looks into the flame not to watch it burn, but to see his reflection upon the purified metal, so do I look upon your soul as it passes through fire, waiting to see my image restored within you. When you endure, when you refuse to give up, when you still choose love amid loss, that is when my image shines clearly in you. Do not misunderstand, my child. I do not rejoice in your pain, but I rejoice in your growth through it. For fire does not only take away, it gives back. It removes what is needless to make room for what is true. It burns away the waste so that the gold may gleam. It brings you to your knees so that you may rise with new strength. That is why I allow the fire to touch you, not to destroy, but to transform. Do you remember what I have spoken? For the Lord your God is a consuming fire, Deuteronomy 4:2-4. Yet I am also the light that shines in darkness. This means I am both the flame that burns and the light that reveals. When you see my fire, do not think only of destruction. Think of the light of truth. For light cannot appear without burning. A candle only shines when it is willing to melt. And so it is with you. You will only truly shine when you allow me to burn away what does not belong to me within you. My child, I know there are seasons when you feel as though you are falling apart. Old dreams crumble, relationships break, plans lose their shape. You ask me, why do you let me lose everything? But my child, my fire does not destroy your future, it releases it. It burns away the shells that conceal the true light within you. For within every human soul I have placed a divine spark, and sometimes, only when the outer fires flare up, does the inner flame awaken. Do not try to extinguish the fire, learn instead to burn with it. Do not run from it, allow it to consume the chains that bind you. For if you fear the fire, you will live forever in the shadows. But if you let it touch you, you will discover that light is not only around you, it has always been within you, waiting to be set free. When the fire passes, you will no longer be the same. You will bear the imprint of light, and others will see my glory reflected through you. There are many who pray for power, yet refuse to walk through the fire. They desire the light but fear its price. They long to be used but resist refinement. Yet in my kingdom no power is granted without fire. Fire is the sacred right. It separates those who merely speak of me from those who truly belong to me. Those who know only my name will fear the flames, but those who know my heart will understand. This is the pathway of love. Do not flee the place where I am refining you, for that is where miracles are born. I am turning ashes into light, breaking sorrow into song. When you lift your head amid the dust and whisper, "Even so," I still believe heaven trembles. For that is the voice of a soul made pure, the voice of one who knows that nothing can separate them from my love. Fire may strip away everything outward, but it can never take the love within. That love is me. And when the fire subsides, you will fear no more. You will look back and see it was in the fire that I guided your steps. It was in the night that my light blazed brightest. It was in the pain that you learned tenderness. It was in the loss that you found true worth. Then you will understand the fire was never your enemy. It was the messenger of renewal. My beloved child, let the fire do its holy work. Let its light refine you, teach you humility, teach you love, teach you to live as one who has touched eternity. For when the fire completes its task, you will no longer be ashes, you will be light. And in that light you will see that I was with you through it all, in every flame, in every breath, in every tear. My beloved, among all creation, only humankind has been given the privilege of refinement. The grass grows and withers, the beasts are born and pass away, but the human soul was made to reflect my glory. That is why the fire comes not to harm but to shape. Just as gold must pass through the furnace to become pure, so must your soul walk through fire to shine as bright as my own Sunday, the crucible for silver and the furnace for gold, but the Lord tests the heart. Proverbs 1:7-3. This is not merely a reminder, but a law of the Spirit. Gold cannot reveal its value while buried in dirt. It shines only when the heat melts away the dross and exposes what is real. Likewise, the heart cannot reveal its truth in ease. Its essence is proven in trial. Therefore, I do not spare you from the fire, I dwell with you within it. When you say, "Lord, purify me," you are inviting me to place you in the furnace of truth. There, hidden motives, secret ambitions, and unnamed fears begin to dissolve. I do not do this to shame you, but to free you from the bonds you do not even see. For within you, as within every soul, two forces dwell together, the truth I have planted, and the shadow the world has sown. The fire comes to separate the two. My child, I know that the fire sometimes makes you cry out, makes you want to run, makes you ask, "Lord, why have you let me go through this?" But understand this: I do not test you so that I may know who you are. I already know. I test you so that you may know who you are. I have known you since before you were formed. I refine you so that you might behold the greatness I placed within you from the beginning. When the fire burns away all that is false, what is true will arise, and that truth is me in you. There are parts within you that must melt away so the authentic self can be born. Self-satisfaction, self-reliance, dependence on others, hidden pride, all must dissolve in my flame. For only when you are emptied can I fill you. Only when your hands no longer cling to anything else can you truly hold on to me. And when you hold me, you will understand. The fire takes nothing from you. It merely restores you to your original design. My child, in the furnace of the soul, do not panic when you hear the sound of breaking. True gold must crackle before it shines. Likewise, the heart must break for light to enter. You think the fracture is weakness, but in the realm of the Spirit it is readiness. Only when your heart softens can I engrave my image upon it. Your tears are not a disgrace. They are the molten rivers of a soul being remade. I have seen those who try to flee the fire, seeking refuge in temporary safety. But none can carry glory without passing through refinement. Those who refuse the fire may keep their outer shell, yet never touch the golden core within. But those who dare to stay, who let me work within them, become my reflection, no longer the old self, but a mirror of eternity. When I look at them, I see myself. And when others look at them, they see me through them. That is the purpose of the fire. Do you remember those I chose in Scripture? None of them escaped the flame. Moses was burned in the wilderness of loneliness. David was refined in the furnace of betrayal. Daniel passed through the fire of trial among lions. And even my son Jesus walked through the fire of the cross. But when the fire was done, none of them remained the same. From the ashes they rose as carriers of glory. So it is with you. My child, you are not losing. You are being renewed. Remember this, I always control the heat of the fire. The flame never exceeds what you can bear. I am the perfect refiner, and my eyes never leave the furnace. When I see my own reflection in you, I know the work is complete. Until then, do not fear. Do not believe you have been abandoned. In the very moments you think I am silent, I am leaning closest to see my image more clearly in the glow. When you endure, do not simply pray for the fire to end. Ask me instead, Lord, what do you want me to learn in this fire? For every flame carries an eternal lesson. Fire never comes without purpose. It teaches you about limits, faith, love, and endurance. And when that lesson is learned, the fire will fade, not because I pity you, but because its work is finished. After each refining, your soul will shine brighter, lighter, freer. You will find that you no longer fear what once made you tremble. You will speak less, but your words will carry authority. You will love more deeply, but with greater wisdom. For the fire does not merely make you strong, it makes you true. And what is true can never be destroyed. One day when you look back, you will thank me for the fires. You will see that without them you would have remained an unshaped lump of metal, carrying the form of a dream, but lacking the value of eternity. Now you shine not because you are flawless, but because you have been refined. The ashes are no longer ashes. They have become the ground upon which I have engraved the seal of my glory. My beloved child, do not fear the fire any longer. Step into it with the trust that I am within it with you. Let that fire illuminate the hidden corners of your heart, so that what is true may be revealed, and the image of me within you may shine forth. For when the fire has completed its work, you will not merely be a survivor, you will be a witness of light. And all who see you will know this is a soul that has passed through the fire, and still burns brightly in the love of God. My beloved, look around you, after the fire has passed. Everything seems quiet, no more the roar of the storm, no more the heat of pain, only ashes and stillness. You stand there looking at yourself, thinking that nothing of worth remains. But listen to me. My child, ashes are not the end. Ashes are the ground where light is born. For when the fire finishes its work, what is burned is not the soul, but the layers that once covered it. And from that heap of ashes, new life begins to rise, purer, deeper, eternal. My child, you thought that loss had destroyed you, but in truth it only removed what no longer belonged. I did not let the fire consume your soul. I allowed it to burn away what once dimmed your inner light. When everything around you falls apart, that is when you are being born anew. For fire is not only a trial, it is a doorway leading you into a new form of existence where your soul is no longer bound by fear or the past. Ashes are merely the shell of what was. The new light is rising from that very place. My beloved, you once thought you had been destroyed, but I tell you no, you are being remade. Like a seed buried in the ground, it breaks open, yet from that fracture life begins to bloom. So it is with your soul, it has cracked open, so that light might enter, so that I may rebuild you, not as before, but in a more complete reflection of my image. Everything you thought you lost in the fire has not vanished. it has been transformed. The fragments have melted and fused into something stronger, more radiant, that is the soul resurrected. My child, within the ashes, you will find your truest self. When all the noise of the world fades away, you will hear my voice as clearly as a gentle wind moving through the garden of light. You will realize that in your suffering I never left you, not for a single moment. I was in the fire with you, and now I stand amid the ashes calling you to rise. O my soul, live again, that is the decree that resounds through the ruins. And the moment you hear it, the light within you will begin to move, shimmering like the dawn after a long night. Ashes are not the proof of failure, but the mark of a miracle completed. For only what has passed through fire bears the imprint of eternity. Those who have never known trial may speak of me, but only those who have walked through fire can reflect me. True light does not come from places unbroken. It springs from what has been shattered and healed by my own hands. That is why the faces of those resurrected in me carry a radiance the world cannot define, for the light they bear does not come from without, but from within where I dwell. My beloved child, let me tell you the secret of ashes. Within them lies the seed of light. When I breathe my breath upon the ashes, they ignite, not in the fire of destruction, but in the flame of life. From where pain once was, now blooms the flower of grace. From where regret once dwelled, wisdom now blossoms. From where tears once fell, the spring of mercy now flows. For those who have suffered know how to comfort, those who have lost know how to give, and those who have been burned know how to shine. You will come to see, my child, that fire does not merely make you different, it makes you more like me. For I too have walked through the fire of rejection, of betrayal, of the cross. Yet when the ashes of Golgotha settled, resurrection life arose brighter than every shadow. And when you pass through the fire, you are stepping into that same journey, the path of death and rebirth, not of the body but of the soul. I allow you to walk through it so that you may know the depths of love, so that you may see that every ending in me is but the dawn of a radiant beginning. You ask me, how can I rise when nothing is left? And I say to you, by the very light I have placed within you. The fire of trial does not only take away, it also leaves behind. It leaves the light of understanding, the strength of steadfast faith, the gentleness no longer shadowed by fear. When you rise from the ashes, you will no longer be the wounded one, but the one whose wounds have been healed, and those very scars will become your source of light. My child, the resurrected souls are the most humble of all, for they know that every strength within them comes from me. They no longer boast, no longer judge, no longer compare. Their light does not glare, it glows softly. They walk in peace, for they understand that nothing can take away what truly belongs to them, for it has been refined and sealed in eternity. They no longer strive to prove their worth, because they know to still exist after the fire is proof of grace itself. When I permit the fire to pass through, I am not thinking only of that moment. I am thinking of the glory that follows. All things in me move in cycles: fire, ash, light. You are now in the third, and this light does not shine for you alone, but for the souls still wandering in the dark. You will become a lamp in my hand, illuminating paths others fear to walk. Your light will not come from knowledge or talent, but from the experience of grace. Therefore, my child, do not despise the ashes. Do not wipe away the marks of trial. They are the witnesses of your journey. They tell the story that fire can burn but not destroy, that suffering can weaken, yet also create strength, that darkness may cover, but light will always prevail. And when you lift your eyes, you will see it is the very light that now radiates from you that was once the fire that consumed you. But it is no longer the flame of pain, it is the light of resurrection. You have walked through the fire, and now you stand as a witness of eternal light. And I, the one who walked with you through every heat and blaze, now smile and say, you have been refined like gold. You reflect my glory. Step forth, my child, and shine upon the earth. My beloved one, have you ever paused in the middle of an ordinary day and asked, why did this happen? Why did I meet that person? Why did I turn down this path instead of another? It is not by chance, my child. Nothing in this universe is random when I am the one who holds it all. What you call coincidence is simply the secret language of guidance, the invisible footprints of my presence along your way. When you think you are lost, you are in truth being led. When you think you have stopped, you are in fact being positioned for a new rhythm in my design. I do not speak only through thunder or grand revelation. Most of the time I speak through the small things, a fleeting encounter, a word spoken, a quiet thought, an event that seems meaningless. I weave every detail of your life with threads that appear scattered, yet fit perfectly together in my hands. When you look too closely, you see fragments, but when you step back, you will behold the masterpiece I have been weaving. Not a single thread is wasted, not a single color misplaced. And sometimes I hide my hand, not because I have left, but because I want you to learn to recognize my traces in the stillness. If all were always obvious, you would have no need for faith. But it is within the ambiguity that your faith grows strong. When you cannot see me and still choose to walk, that is when I am teaching you to sense the invisible arms guiding you through every bend in the path. Do you remember Joseph, my child? When he was sold into slavery and cast into a dark prison, he must have thought his life had taken a wrong turn. Yet every twist of that road, no matter how painful or unjust it seemed, was a step within my divine design. Had he not been sold, he would never have gone to Egypt. Had he not been imprisoned, he would never have met the cupbearer. Had he not dreamed, he would never have been summoned before Pharaoh. And without those missteps, he would never have saved a nation. Likewise, my child, the detours in your life are not mistakes, they are my sacred strategies. There are times when I stop you with silence, times when I redirect you through failure, times when I place you in circumstances that make no sense. But know this, everything I do carries purpose. Sometimes I do not guide you with a map, but with a stirring in your spirit, not to leave you lost, but to teach you to trust my hand more than your eyes. For your eyes see only the present moment, but I behold the whole landscape. When you trust, you no longer need to understand. You only need to hold my hand. You say, Lord, why do I meet so many coincidences? Why is everything so tangled? But I tell you, within those tangled threads I am weaving a pattern. The people you meet, the turns you take, the doors that close, the unexpected paths, they are all blending into one great symphony. Each note on its own may sound misplaced, but I am the conductor and I never lose rhythm. You may not understand each moment, but when the song is complete, you will see that every beat was in perfect time. Sometimes I slow you down so you can meet someone who needs you. Sometimes I take away an opportunity to keep you from the wrong turn. Sometimes I let you stumble not to shame you, but to teach you how to bow and find my hand waiting to lift you. If you look only with human eyes, you will see failure. But if you look with the eyes of the soul, you will see protection, orchestration, and mercy. My child, I am the one who knows every heartbeat of yours, every thought before it forms. Before you pray, I have heard. Before you speak, I have known. How then could anything by chance escape my reach? Even the things you cannot understand today will one day prove to be bridges leading you to what I have promised. No step is wasted, no circle meaningless. You are not lost. You are walking through the path crafted for your soul alone. Do not think that I guide you only when my voice is loud and clear. Sometimes I stay silent, so that you may grow in discernment. When you learn to see me in the smallest things, you will realize I have never left your side. Every glance, every word, every delay, every encounter, all of them are the language of grace. You may not understand today, but trust that one day when I draw back the veil of time, you will smile and say, "Truly, it was all the hand of God." I do not simply lead you to where I want you to be. I use the journey itself to teach you who I am. The journey matters more than the destination, for along the way you learn to listen, to trust, to love. When you begin to see me in what seems small, in a drop of rain, in a stranger's word, in the long wait, confusion fades away. You will live in the peace of one who knows that every day has been written by the hand of the all-knowing. My beloved child, I do not let you walk alone, nor do I leave you to guess the way or stumble into fate by chance. You are not the product of coincidence, but a design formed out of love. When you understand this, fear will no longer take root in your heart. When the unexpected arrives for you, will know that behind every seeming accident lies my intention. Behind every detour, a path home. And when you pause and look around, you will see that invisible arms have always been there, lifting you, guiding you, and surrounding you through every turn of life. So, my child, when tomorrow greets you with surprises, do not be afraid. When plans change, when roads twist and bend, do not worry. Remember this: I am the one, beyond time, yet I dwell within each moment. Every step you take, every breath you draw, is part of the melody I have composed. And when you reach the end of your journey, you will see that nothing was random. Every thread was my hand quietly weaving a masterpiece through your very life. My dear one, you often think you have strayed whenever things unfold differently than you expected. When plans collapse, when paths shift, when prayers seem unanswered, you call it the wrong way. But listen to me. No road is wrong when I am leading. Every curve, every narrow path, every turn you did not foresee is being used by me to bring you to what I have prepared faster, deeper, and more completely than you imagined. I know the disappointment that sometimes stirs in your heart. I gave my best, yet the result turned against me. You think you are moving backward, but in the realm of the Spirit you are being propelled forward. For I do not guide you by the straight path, but by the wise one. A straight line may be shortest in space, but my way is the shortest in eternity. It not only leads you to the destination, but shapes you into the one worthy of what I am about to give. Remember this, my beloved. When you think you are going the wrong way, you are merely walking through the in-between, the place of preparation. Like a potter turning the clay in his hands at times, pushing at times, pulling at times, reshaping what seems distorted, it is this very turning that brings perfection. If you stop midway, the vessel will warp. If you endure, it will be made flawless. So do not judge too soon along the journey. What seems like a misdirection today will tomorrow be revealed as the shortcut of grace. Do you remember Jonah, my child? When he fled from me, he believed he was running the farthest from my presence. Yet even in the belly of the fish, in that place of lostness and despair, he was closer to me than ever before. It was there in the depths that he prayed his truest prayer, and from that very place I brought him to shore, closer than ever to the destiny I had appointed for him. So it is with you. When you think you are being pushed far from what I promised, you are in fact being brought swiftly into the very center of my will. You look at your mistakes and say, I've ruined everything. But my child, I am the one who can turn error into map. Even your detours are written into my design. I am never surprised by your missteps. I have already prepared the turns that will lead you back. Like a guide who knows every hidden trail in the forest, I know how to bring you out of the maze, through paths you never expected. And when you emerge into the light, you will say, if not for that road I thought was wrong, I would never have learned to hear his voice. You live in a world measured by time, but I work in the realm of purpose. You count days, but I weigh outcomes. You think you have wasted years, yet in my eyes every second carries eternal worth. For I allow nothing to pass without meaning. Even your wrong turns serve a purpose, to teach you how to discern my true voice. And when you have learned that you will no longer need a map, for you will know how to walk in rhythm with my heart. There are times when I let you walk into barren places, not to punish you, but to sever old attachments. If you remained in familiar territory, you would never glimpse the promised land. Like the Israelites who once believed Egypt was safety, I had to open the Red Sea so they would realize that what they thought was loss was actually the way out. So it is with you, my child. When I close old doors and separate you from what once gave you comfort, it may hurt, but it is my way of pushing you into freedom. My beloved, trust that I never let you wander in circles for nothing. Every detour is a lesson, every delay a form of protection. If you arrive too soon, you will not be strong enough to stay. If you have not passed through the wilderness, you will not recognize the worth of an oasis. I do not merely want you to reach the destination, I want you to arrive rightly with a heart refined, a faith tempered, and a soul deep enough to hold the blessing I have prepared. When you walk through days you call wrong turns, remember this. Those are the days I am resetting the compass within your soul. Every repentance, every fear you surrender, every tear you give, me each becomes part of the recalibration. And one day when you look back, you will see how every detour converged perfectly at the appointed meeting place I had prepared. My child, I am never lost in your story. I am the author, and the author never loses his way within his own book. You may find yourself in a tangled chapter, but this chapter is necessary for the next to make sense. Do not snatch the pen from my hand simply because you do not understand. Let me keep writing, for I know the ending, and that ending is blessing. Beloved one, cease resenting what seems disappointing. Stop viewing wrong directions as failures. Learn to recognize my footprints, even in what you did not wish for. When you fall, look around, you will see my hand reaching out. When you lose your way, pause, you will hear my voice saying, you are still on the right path, you just haven't yet seen the whole map. And when you have come through, when everything seems to have twisted and turned, you will realize that the long way was the shortest path after all, because it not only brought you to the place, but brought you closer to me. For the true goal of this journey is not the destination, but communion between your soul and mine. When you understand that, you will stop asking why and begin to say thank you. Thank you for what seemed wrong but led to true blessing. Thank you for the turns that carried me into the very center of love. My precious child, every path within me leads to goodness. Not every path is smooth, but each bears the imprint of my feet. Keep walking, even when you do not understand. For every step, no matter how winding, draws you nearer to a promise written long before you were born, that I will cause all things to work together for the good of those who love me. Listen closely, beloved, and grasp this deep truth. Nothing in your life is too small to escape my providence. Every breath you take, every tear you shed, every seemingly chance encounter, each is a fragment of the grand mosaic I am painting. You see only the brush strokes, but I behold the whole canvas. You glimpse the moment, but I am arranging eternity. My providence does not shout, nor does it boast. It hides itself within the simplest things, in your choices, in your waiting, in the moments you think mean nothing at all. I am the one who set the stars in their courses, and I am the same one who orders your steps for purpose. When I can hold the cosmos in perfect balance, could I possibly lose a single soul formed by my own hands? You are not abandoned to randomness, nor drifting in fate's tide. You are being upheld by the invisible thread of my intent. Everything you call coincidence is in truth design, a word spoken by someone, a delay you did not expect, a sudden rain that makes you stop. All may be part of the divine choreography unfolding for your good. You ask, how can something so small hold such great meaning? My child, every greatness in me begins from the smallest of things. Like the mustard seed, the tiniest of all, yet when it grows, it becomes a great tree where the birds of the air come to rest. A single act of love, a quiet prayer, a step of obedience taken in silence. They are like seeds sown into the soil, and in their season they bring forth a harvest beyond imagination. I used a mere staff in Moses' hand to part the Red Sea. I used 5 loaves and 2 fish in a child's hands to feed 5,000. I used the humble heart of Mary to bring the Redeemer into the world. So then, do you not believe that I can also use the small, ordinary things in your life to accomplish the extraordinary, my child? My providence is not a string of dramatic miracles, but a symphony of details. Every note, every pause, every echo is precisely arranged to blend into the melody of your life. If you listen with the ears of your soul, you will hear that rhythm, sometimes quick, sometimes slow, but never out of tune. There are moments when I let you pass through long silences, not because the song has ended, but because that is the prelude to the glorious chorus that is about to begin. I see, my child, how you sometimes question your own path. Am I in the right place? Am I doing the right thing? But know this, as long as your heart still seeks me, you cannot wander out of my way. Wherever you go, my providence surrounds you. If you ascend to the heavens, I am there. If you descend to the depths, I am there too. If you hide in the darkness, that night will shine like day before me. Psalm 139:7-12 says, "Where can I go from your spirit? Where can I flee from your presence? You cannot escape." My love for that, love itself, is the divine gravity that draws you back to the center of my will. When you look back on the days gone by, you will see my hand everywhere. You thought you chose by yourself, but it was I who placed the stirring in your heart at the right moment. You thought you met someone by chance, but I was the one who guided your steps. You thought a delay was a setback, but that delay spared you from a dangerous turn. You thought you lost something, but in that very loss, you found me. No detail is ever wasted when placed in my hands. My child, I want you to understand that providence is not the tyranny of control, but the artistry of love. It does not suffocate your freedom. It paints a perfect path, even when you choose wrongly. I do not write your life with ink that cannot be erased, but with light that bends and follows every motion. When you stumble, that light does not fade. It spreads, illuminating even the darkest places, turning them into part of the masterpiece. So do not fear mistakes, only fear a heart that drifts away from mine. For as long as you still desire me, everything, whether right or wrong in your eyes, will be used by me to fulfill my eternal purpose. Imagine, my child, that I am standing on the mountain peak looking down upon the valley of your life. I see you turning left when I meant you to go right, but I also see the small winding paths that will lead you back. And while you worry, I smile, for I know you will still reach the destination. Perhaps later, perhaps through storms and tears, but you will arrive stronger, surer, and wiser. For in my providence there is no such thing as being lost forever. My child, learn to see providence not as a chain of luck and chance, but as a poem written in the language of the soul. Every line, every rhyme, every rhythm has been chosen with care by my hand. There are verses you think were cut short, yet they are only waiting for their next stanza to make the story whole. There are low notes that seem somber, but they are what make the high notes shine brighter. There are long, dim days that seem endless, but it is precisely those days that make the dawn blaze with greater radiance. My beloved, do not strive to control everything, for you were not made to be the author. You were created to be part of the story I am writing, with wisdom far beyond human comprehension. You need only trust that I am working even when you cannot see. Let me weave together the fragments you think are broken, for I know how to turn them into a masterpiece of eternity. And one day, when you stand upon the mountaintop and look back, you will see that every small thing, each tear shed, each whispered prayer in the night, each opportunity you thought was lost, has contributed to the great fulfillment promised. Then you will understand that providence is not a theory, but the very heartbeat of my love at work in every moment. My precious one, do not despise the small things. Do not underestimate the ordinary days. Do not dismiss the delays, the minor detours, the sudden changes. For in my eyes they are the golden threads that weave the garment of your destiny. When you live with an awareness of providence, you will no longer see coincidence, you will see grace. And that grace, though quiet, is always stronger than all your plans. My beloved child, have you ever cried out and heard only silence? Have you ever sought me through tears, yet the heavens seemed unresponsive? Have you ever asked, "Where are you, Lord?" And the only answer was the whisper of the wind. Know this, my child, my silence is not absence. It is the deepest form of presence. There are moments when I choose silence, not because I have withdrawn, but because I want you to learn how to listen, not with your ears, but with your soul. For true faith is not born when you hear. It is born when you hear nothing and still believe. Anyone can believe when my voice is clear, but only the mature in spirit can believe in the quiet. When I am silent, it does not mean I am inactive. On the contrary, when you hear nothing, I am working most deeply. Like a seed resting unseen beneath the soil, life is quietly taking root in the dark. My dear one, my silence is not rejection. It is an invitation to deeper communion. You are used to recognizing my voice through sound, through emotion, through outward signs. But I want you to learn to recognize me through the beating of your heart, through peace in the midst of the storm, through a conviction that rises not from logic, but from the depths of the soul. When I am silent, you are invited into a new kind of worship, not one built upon feeling, but upon absolute trust that I am still there, still listening, still loving. Some souls think that when I do not respond, I am testing them. But my child, I do not test to diminish, I test to elevate. Silence is not a lesson in patience, it is a lesson in union. I do not want you to rely only on the words I speak, but on me, the one who speaks. Words may pause, but the giver of the word never departs. Do you remember Elijah, my child? When he hid in the cave, trembling in fear and despair, he heard the roaring wind, the quaking earth, and the crackling fire, but the Lord was not in them. Then he heard a gentle whisper, and he knew that it was me. 1 Kings 1:9-11-12. My beloved, sometimes I must quiet every noise around you, so that you may hear that gentle whisper, the voice that can only be recognized in stillness. Silence is the place where you are stripped of every crutch, reason, emotion, signs, and other people. There only two remain, you and me. It is within this space that your faith is refined, no longer dependent on the feeling of hearing, but anchored in the knowing that I am still there. That is the highest form of faith, to believe, not because I have spoken, but because you have come to know me. Do not fear silence, my child. The world dreads stillness because it exposes its emptiness. But for those who belong to me, stillness is not empty. It is full of presence. When every other voice fades, you begin to hear the sound of eternity resonating within your soul. When all movement ceases, you realize that my heartbeat is pulsing in rhythm with yours. When every answer disappears, you discover that I, myself, not my words, am the answer. My beloved one, remember that I never abandon you in silence. Even when you feel nothing, I am holding you, as a mother holds the child within her womb in the quiet of her body. You may not sense it, but I am nourishing you, shaping something new within you. A child in the womb does not hear its mother's voice every day, yet it lives by her and is constantly sustained. So it is with you, the silence of my presence is not distance. It is the pregnancy of what is about to be born. I know you fear the calm, for you have grown accustomed to signs. But my child, when I am silent, it is because I trust that you have matured enough to walk without needing constant reassurance. A father does not hold his child's hand forever. At some point he stands behind and lets the child walk on its own. My silence is not withdrawal, it is empowerment. It is my way of showing you that the light I placed within you is sufficient to guide your steps. When you pray and do not hear my voice, do not think I am ignoring you. Some answers do not come through words but through transformation. I may not say I am here yet, I give you peace in the storm. I may not say you will overcome, yet I plant within you the strength to endure. I may not say I love you yet, I sustain your breath, your heartbeat, your being. That is how I speak through silence. My child, my silence is not void, it is the wordless symphony of heaven. When you listen deeply, you will sense that within the silence resound the tones of love, faithfulness, and the rhythm of my heart beating in yours. The world demands a voice, but those who belong to me learn to hear presence itself. No, this silence is also a form of speech, a declaration not in words, but in trust. It says you know me well enough not to need to hear me at every moment. It says you no longer believe only in the promise, but in the one who promised. And when you grasp this truth, you will realize that silence is no longer a void, but a sacred meeting place where we commune without words. Therefore, my beloved, when I am silent, do not be afraid. When your prayers seem to echo unanswered, do not lose heart. Stand still. Do not rush to fill the space. Let silence become the place where your soul is shaped, where you learn to breathe with me, to love with me, and to trust with me. Then you will understand that silence is the language of the deepest love, where no words are needed, yet everything is understood, where nothing is seen, yet everything is believed, where nothing is touched, yet eternity wraps you in its embrace. My beloved child, do you know that all life begins in silence? A seed does not sprout amid noise, but in the quiet darkness of the soil. An unborn child does not grow amidst clamor, but within the calm of the mother's womb. So it is with your soul, it is reborn, shaped, and renewed, not through the noise of miracles, but through the stillness of faith. When I am silent, I have not abandoned you. I am doing my deepest work, the work of recreating your soul, so that you may not merely live, but live powerfully, profoundly, and enduringly in eternity. My child, waiting in silence is not wasted time. It is a season of formation. As you wait, I am engraving faith deep within you, cleansing shallow expectations and replacing earthly desires with heavenly longing. Just as gold is refined by fire, your soul is refined in stillness. It is precisely when you can no longer hear, see, or feel anything that the deepest truth is being written within you, the strength of unconditional trust. Many think waiting is stagnation, that it is a delay or loss. But my child, in my kingdom, waiting is movement. It is not a pause, but the process by which I push you forward from within. When you cannot act, I act in you. When you cannot speak, I speak to you in a language without words. When you think nothing is changing, that is when everything is shifting in its quietest form. My child, imagine a goldsmith refining gold. He does not shout or stir the flame wildly. He simply keeps the fire steady and waits. He knows that only in stillness will the impurities rise to the surface. And when he sees his reflection mirrored on the gold, he knows it has become pure. So it is with me. I am the goldsmith of your soul. I keep you in the fire of silence, not to burn, but to purify. And when I see my reflection in you, I know you are ready for glory. You think silence is punishment, but it is the atmosphere of transformation. Without noise, you can hear the truest vibrations of your soul. Without hurry, you can learn the rhythm of grace. Without blinding light, you can recognize the light that rises from within. My child, waiting in silence, is not standing still. It is the movement of faith deeper into the mystery of my presence. I know you grow weary of waiting, for you live in a world measured by time. You count days, I count seasons. You look at clocks, I look at hearts. When you say, "It's been too long," I say, "It's right on time." When you think everything has stopped, I say, "The seed is sprouting." Believe this, my child, waiting in me is never in vain. No moment of silence goes without bearing fruit. No tear shed in waiting is forgotten from my bottle. You see yourself as weak when you wait, but in truth you are growing stronger. Like a climber who pauses to breathe, you think you are resting, yet that very breath keeps you alive. When all you can do is believe that faith is nourishing the marrow of your soul. When you sit in the desert of silence, I am sending rain to the roots you cannot see. One day, when the sprout breaks through the ground, you will understand that none of your waiting was wasted. It was the investment of eternity. My child, waiting is the act of those who understand that my time is not your time. You want to see results, but I want to see maturity. You want promises fulfilled, but I want your heart transformed. You long for proof, but I long for faith. I stay silent so that you no longer chase rewards, but pursue the giver himself. When you come to understand that having me is enough, everything else will be given in its appointed time. There will be seasons when you cannot hear me, yet you must keep walking in the light you last received. Remember that light has not gone out, it is merely hidden, so you may learn to remember it. When you learn to recall the light in the dark, that is when your faith matures. True faith does not need to see. It only needs to know that I am still at work. And when you know this, silence ceases to be a threat and becomes a place of rest. My beloved child, waiting in silence is the birthing room of eternity. In stillness I bring forth steadfast hearts. In quietness I birth wisdom. In darkness I give birth to light. You cannot rush sacred life. If you force the seed to open too soon, it will die. If you pull the flower to make it bloom faster, its petals will break. But if you let me choose the moment, it will bloom in season, and its fragrance will travel farther than you could ever imagine. My beloved one, when you persevere in silence, you are composing a song without words, a sacred hymn understood only by heaven. I hear the sound of your trust echoing in the unseen realm, and it moves my throne more deeply than 1,000 loud prayers. For in silence, faith is no longer a concept. It becomes breath, heartbeat, and soul. And when the season of waiting ends, when I say, "It is time," you will not only receive what you prayed for, but you will also discover that you yourself have been transformed. You will look back and say, "It was silence that healed me. It was waiting that matured me. It was stillness that rebirthed my soul." And in that moment, you will no longer fear silence, for you will know that every quiet space in life carries the whisper of a coming word. Therefore, my child, when I am silent, let your heart be still. When I have not spoken, let your faith speak for you. When I have not acted, let your love continue to believe that I am still at work. Waiting in stillness is not a pause in the journey. It is the place where the soul is reborn and made ready for new light. My beloved, now that your journey nears its turning point, listen deeply to the gentle yet powerful call from eternity. Let go. Letting go is not losing it, is entering true freedom. Letting go is not surrendering defeat. It is handing back to me what you once held with your own strength. For only when your hands are empty can I place within them what can never be taken away. You have lived through many seasons, seasons of sowing, of harvest, and of loss. You have loved, believed, fallen, risen, and wept through long nights. You thought all of this would end in weariness, but no, my child. It is when you reach the end of your strength that I can lift you. It is when you release that the hidden wings of your soul unfold. You were not created to grasp everything, you were created to fly. And to fly, you must dare to release. I know there is still fear within you, fear of losing, of emptiness, of losing control. But what you cling to today is not life itself. It is only the shadow of life. It has fulfilled its purpose. Just as the cocoon once sheltered the caterpillar but is no longer a home, it must now be left behind. A butterfly cannot take flight if it still clings to the cocoon. Likewise, your soul cannot soar if it still clings to what is past. I have seen your tears when you had to let go of what you loved. I have heard your heart whisper, "I cannot release this." But I tell you, you do not let go to lose, you let go to receive. You do not lose people, things, or dreams. You return them into my hands, so that I may transform, renew, and return them to you in a purer, eternal form. You think you are walking away, but in truth, you are coming home. For coming home is not a backward step. It is the journey back to the center, the place where you truly belong. That place is not a location, it is me. You came from me, and every step, whether winding or tearful, is leading you back to me. When you release what is earthly, you are removing the layers that separate you from the source of light, and when the final layer falls away, you will see, I was never far. I have been here all along, waiting patiently and tenderly like a father, with open arms, when his child finally stops struggling. Remember this, my child, the end is not death, it is the gate to new life. Every seed must decay before it can sprout. Every dawn begins in darkness. Every soul, before being united with me, must pass through the threshold of surrender. So do not fear when old things crumble. Do not fear when you feel empty. That emptiness is not loss. It is the space I am clearing to make room for the new. I have placed within you the soul of the eternal, yet your body lives within the limits of time. Therefore there are things you must leave behind, so that you may carry the light of eternity. You cannot take with you wealth, reputation, or self-image, for these belong only to the temporary world. But you can carry love, forgiveness, faithfulness, and faith, for these are the materials of the unshakable kingdom. My beloved child, I know that letting go is hard. I know your heart resists. But do you remember how many times I have called you to release, and afterward you realize that it was in that very surrender that you found yourself again? When you let go of fear, you find peace. When you let go of resentment, you find freedom. When you let go of the need to control, you find miracles. And now once again I call you to release not only what you are holding on to, but also the image of who you think you must be. For I do not only desire that you live well, I desire that you live true. And to live true is to live in unity with me, where everything returns to its origin, love. In love there is no fear. In love there is no loss. In love, everything that once seemed to end is redefined as the beginning of something new. When you release, you will see the things you thought were fading are only transforming. Memories do not disappear. They become light. The people you have loved are not forgotten. They are held in my eternal realm. The dreams you thought unfinished will be fulfilled in ways you never imagined, not by your hands, but by mine. My beloved one, I call you. Open your hands. Let the wind of the Spirit blow through, lifting you from the heaviness of the past, carrying you beyond earthly limits. Believe that your wings are ready and that heaven is calling your name. Let go that you may soar. Soar not to escape, but to return to the place where you have always belonged to, my embrace to the unshakable kingdom. This is not a farewell, my child. This is an invitation to come home. Home is not where you once were, but where you will forever be. And when you cross that threshold, you will understand there is no true death, only the transformation of life. For in me every ending turns to light, every tear turns to pearl, and everything you once feared to lose is preserved in eternal treasure. So let go, my child. Fear not the wind, fear not the height, fear not the open sky, for that very sky is my embrace. And as you soar, you will realize that you were never falling. You were only returning to the heavens where you belong. Thank you for listening to today's message. Subscribe and turn on the notification bell so we may continue to receive the living word together, to build unshakable faith and walk in the boundless love of God. Amen.